It's time to take a TO with Coaches Turner and ONeill. Produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Chris.
It's time to take a TO with Coaches Steve Turner and Casey ONeill. Your new favorite podcast features conversation from the world of high school, college, and pro sports, along with other riveting content. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner ONeill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, or visit www.turnerandoneill.com. Be sure to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, and other popular podcast platforms. We also bring you Inside the Podcast each week, where you can view the podcast via our YouTube channel. Join the thousands who watch each week. Thanks to our partners, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, the Insurance Alliance Group LLC, our sponsors, ONeill Development LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, Peace Players International, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, and Collins Funeral Home. And our donors, Justin ONeill, Winsight Media, and Redwood Investments. Take a TO with Coach Turner and ONeill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Chrissy. Now we welcome you to today's episode as we take a TO with Coaches Turner and ONeill. Here's your host, Kurtis Cross.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 16 of Take a TO with Turner and ONeill. I am your host, Kurtis Cross, and with me as always is Coach Steve Turner, Coach Casey ONeill, and we've made a call to the bullpen. This week's engineer is none other than Paula. We'd like to thank our partners, Insurance Alliance Group LLC, Healthy Baller, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, the Tamara Cusick Team, and Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. We'd also like to thank the nearly 4,000 of you who listened in or viewed last week's podcast where we had Mr. Chris Likes, point guard for the University of Miami Hurricanes men's basketball program, as our guest. This week, we are stoked to have Ken Meringolo, a colleague of the program from First Amendment Sports. His segment with us is coming up just a bit later. But first, let's hear from the crew. Fellas, how are we doing this week? How was the weekend, Coach ONeill?
Weekend was fantastic, and here's why. It started off playing a little golf with my co-host
I saw
here.
photos.
Playing a little golf up at PB Dye for a great cause. Not only is it Gonzaga's annual golf tournament, but it's called the Carmody Open. But now it is the Carmody Lynn Open. Young man Mike Lynn unfortunately passed away. They are naming this golf tournament in his honor for fatherless boys at the school. And he is also from the great class of 1994, which Ken Meringolo is a WCAC fellow class of 1994.
Just connecting all the dots, ain't you?
Connecting all the dots. But outside of that, what a great start to be with my boy last Friday.
I have a question, though. I've forgotten the last couple weeks to ask about Cole. I know he's happy. Clemson did some things this weekend.
I think we're going to get to that a little bit later, too. Clemson did do some things, and that's Georgia Tech. Remember how good Georgia Tech used to be in football?
Yeah.
But thanks for asking about Cole. He's doing well. He's busy. Business school's no joke down there.
But
It's
Claire,
tough.
the broken wrist or the fractured wrist there?
Yeah, and that Tiger turned a little paw. The paw's getting better. She had the football uniform on today. We were playing a little catch. We got to 29 in a row catching from about 10 feet. Yeah.
That's her catching, not you. I know you dropped a couple.
Come on, man. I was a little Odell going up.
Going Odell style?
Yeah, we had a nice evening for that. But he's good. Cole's good. Thanks for asking, man.
Coach Turner, talk to me about your weekend, sir. It started with PB Dye, right?
Started with PB Dye. Great time with Coach ONeill. Couple Gonzaga alum. Those guys hit it well. I hit it okay.
All right.
Actually, Coach ONeill was on his game, by the way.
He didn't want to say that.
Nah, he didn't. I'm going to brag for him.
All right.
Almost got a car.
He almost got a car. That's real talk. He almost hit the hole in one on the car hole.
It was close.
Get out of here.
It was about 185. It was a hit.
It was a hit.
And it tracked, little draw in there, and we were, oh. And then it went up the hill and came back down.
Oh.
We thought it was going to go in again.
When it rolled down, we thought it was coming back to the hole.
2 times.
I was like, Cole, this could be that car. This could be that car for
South
school.
Carolina.
It was
Right.
close.
On it.
It's close, but great start to the weekend on Friday. And then the week was great. Just spend some family time, relax a little bit, get ready for the work week. Back in the office today.
And here we are.
Here we go.
All right. Paula, you are filling in this week for DJ Chrissy. Please, without looking at Monday Night Football, because her Bills are down to the Chiefs right now. But please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Well, I am Paula. I am Kurtis's wife.
You are.
I am. And by day, I teach middle school health.
Bless you.
Which means you wear a cape. You are a hero. As a teacher, God bless you. And God bless the Bills.
Oh, God bless them. I hope they pull it out tonight, but we'll see what happens. And I've known Casey now for, 16 episodes. And I met Steve on an airplane going to a wedding.
We'll have to get to that story.
All right.
I
hope we do. It's a good story.
Let's tell the story now. So Paul and I have known each other for 25 years, but I guess 14, 15 years ago, when she came into the fold, we were friends before, but when she came into the fold, of course I'm going to tell her about my friends in my circle. And obviously Steve Turner is one of those folks. So I described Steve to her and told her about Steve. And one day when she's flying back to Buffalo, you tell the rest.
I was flying back to Buffalo, and I was flying back for a wedding, and I knew that, Steve was going to be going to this wedding. And I've heard so much about the Steve guy. And so I don't even know what made me ask some complete stranger. I'm like, are you Steve? As he's walking down the aisle in Southwest, so, you can pick your own seats. He's like, yeah. And I'm kind of like, why don't you take a seat here? I know Kurtis. And he's like, okay. Because at that point, he was kind of cornered. So I think he was probably a little uncomfortable. But he sat down and we talked.
Next to some woman who says, I know Kurtis.
Right.
Was the flight sold out? Or were there like a lot of empty seats where he's like, oh, okay.
I don't think it was a full flight.
No.
And that's how they met.
And that's how we met.
That was it.
Friends ever since.
Friendship since flight.
Yeah.
Yep. There we
Ever
go.
since.
All right. Well, Paula,
awesome.
of course you're welcome to the
Heading to a
team.
Gonzaga wedding. It was Akbar Wahid's wedding.
It was Akbar's
There you
wedding.
go. Akbar.
She was flying back home. He was going to the wedding. I was coming up a day or two later, and that's how it all happened. And here we are in a studio in a Tamara Cusick home, by the way.
There we go. Another connection.
We're connecting all the dots. Can we call this episode
6 degrees.
Connect the Dots? All right, Paula, I want to welcome you to the team, but welcome you to the table of the podcast because you're always doing something for the podcast.
Thank you.
You're already a friend of the program, so we are adding to your duties, and the crew is ready for today's episode with you behind the controls. Ladies and gentlemen, I trained her, or I prepped her today, so if there are any mistakes, you guys write to me. Don't get on her Instagram or Twitter or whatever and try to fry her. We've had an interesting week in sports. Clemson posts 70-plus points. Alabama handled Georgia. The Ravens survived a late push from the Eagles. The Steelers reminded the Browns of which division they are in. And the World Series is now set after the Dodgers took Game 7 to advance against the Tampa Bay Rays. All of that, plus our starting five and Joey T's 2-minute drill coming up. Let's go to break. We're coming right back. A² Home and Office Solutions. A² is the go-to source for home and office network and audiovisual solutions. They will link technology to your lifestyle seamlessly. Visit homeandofficesolutions.com for more info.
Become a friend of the program. Friendship level contributions start at just $25. Each contribution helps to fuel Take a TO with Turner and ONeill. To find out more or make your contribution, go to www.turnerandoneil.com and click Become a Friend. With public and membership gyms serving limited capacity, Kiki Tyler Fitness brings the gym and fitness experience to you virtually. Join today and gain access to all live and on-demand content from Kiki's Fitness Library. New classes are added monthly, and you can start today with a free Zumba class. Kiki leads and instructs Zumba, Strong Nation, Mixed Fit, and Bar classes. Join her live classes or access the on-demand content with a monthly membership. With 4 live classes each week, sign up today. Visit KikiTylerFitness.com, K-I-K-I, TylerFitness.com, and register for this week's free Express Zumba class.
One headline is brought to you by
Healthy Baller. Become your own success story. At Healthy Baller, our team of specialists is committed to providing injury recovery and strength and conditioning training tailored to individual needs. Watching our clients break barriers fuels our passion for athletic development. With scheduled sessions or drop-in classes, Healthy Baller has a success story waiting for you. We offer group and team training, individual workouts, or semi-private training. Call 844-622-5537 or visit healthyballer.com.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and ONeill. Our headline, ladies and gentlemen, after posting a 10-0 score in the first quarter, the Packers went dormant, allowing Tom Brady and the Bucs to go on a 38-0 run in quarters 2, 3, and 4. Where are the Bucs as a team, and what does that say about the Packers, gentlemen?
The Bucs are good. The Bucs are very good, but they are still feeling each other out in the sense that Tom is new, Gronk is new. They put a lot of pieces around there. They're good. They've slipped up a little bit.
They look like they felt each other pretty good yesterday.
But I will say this, not that I'm a Packers fan, but I've seen the Packers. I mean, we've all watched them because they've been successful for a while. And that man, Aaron Rodgers, I'll tell you this, I will never forget our Washington football team and Kirk Cousins took them on a Sunday night. It may be the first Sunday night game that the Redskins ever did well in prime time and beat the Packers. And I saw the look on Aaron Rodgers' face walking off the field. And of course he came back and took them to like the NFC Championship game. The Packers will be fine. They will be back. But they cannot let him get hit as many times as he got hit.
He was getting blasted yesterday.
That game. Packers will be fine. NFC, not that good, not as great, but I'm a betting man. I'm going to bet on Aaron Rodgers. Of course I'm going to bet on Tom Brady, but they'll be fine.
All right, Coach Turner.
I'm in agreement with you, Casey, on that. Rodgers always finds a way to bounce back. Like I'm not doubting or saying counting them out at this point just because they lose a game to Tom the Great.
Right.
I don't think the East is good at all.
No. And
those guys are good enough to win it if they so choose to, and Rodgers will bounce back. He's stewing in this loss right now. Whoever they playing next, better watch out.
You better feel sorry for them.
Yeah, they'll find a way to win 10 games. They'll come back. But I think the weirdest thing is to still see Tom Brady in a Tampa Bay uniform.
How about this? Yesterday, Tom Brady was seen on the field after the game talking to offensive lineman John Runyon Jr. Tom Brady was John Runyon Sr.'s college roommate.
Wow.
That tells you
tackle,
how
right? That was his left tackle at Michigan.
Yes,
yeah.
That tells you how long Tom Brady has been in the league.
I mean, he's 43.
Yeah, he's
insane.
And the other thing I think you're seeing right now with the NFL, so many of these teams are still not in sync because of the COVID.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, games being postponed.
Right.
Guys having to be quarantined.
Get pulled out when they were.
No one's in sync.
No.
No one's in sync.
Wow. The Chiefs usually are. But they weren't last week when the Raiders beat them.
Raiders handed it to them. We don't want them to be in sync now because they're playing the Bills. Is it possible that the Rays win the World Series? The Lightning won the Stanley Cup?
Yep.
And then Brady does something down there, which would be the first Super Bowl, if they don't do a bubble, that's played in the home stadium of the team that's playing, right? It's in Tampa this year.
Wow.
You know Brady wants that on his resume.
Well, he would love it. And Tampa.
Well, my second team is going to
handle that.
Mess
the
that
Dodgers.
up for you, the Dodgers.
I saw a sign
mess that up for you
in the crowd last night.
Not for me.
Because, of course, in Florida, the fans all down there in the stadium.
Sold out.
But they had that sign, Stanley Cup champs, possible Super Bowl bound, one more series from World Series. Come on.
Well, I'm going to go with Coach Turner on that. I would love to see the Dodgers win.
I'm going to disagree on that.
You're going to disagree on that? So it's are we betting live right now?
I'm not saying I'm
$1
betting on it.
I'll put $1 on it. $1.
I'm rooting for the team. And I think later in the script, see, I read ahead. I think we're going to talk about this.
Just say Rays or Dodgers. Just say Rays or Dodgers.
Give me the Rays.
All right, I'll take the Dodgers. Is it
Rays.
that? Little brother.
$1.
Little brother. $1. One bean.
One Deer Park.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that is your one headline.
Take a TO with Turner and ONeill would like to thank our friends of the program: Richard Butts Jr., Jean and Clorinda Carter, Sean Clifton, Paula Cross, Justin ONeill, Susan and Brendan ONeill Sr., Amy ONeill Richard, Damian and Brooke Stevenson, Marcus Taylor. If you'd like to become a friend of the program, go to www.turnerandoneil.com and click Become a friend.
Next Level Lacrosse. Train like a Spartan. Next Level Lacrosse is dedicated to providing a terrific lacrosse experience that is intensely focused on player development and character formation. Players at all levels will improve significantly through professional coaching and carefully designed training programs that stress proper technique and a tireless work ethic. You'll find us at www.nextlevelspartans.com. At Peace Players International, we use the power of sport to unite, educate, and inspire young people to create a more peaceful world. We offer sport programming, peace education, and leadership development to those living in communities of conflict. We challenge the hate that is driven by the fear of our differences. Find out more at www.peaceplayers.org. The Starting Five.
Starting Five is brought to you by
Real estate is more than just houses. It's about people too. The Tamara Cusick team offers an all-inclusive approach, making the home buying and selling process efficient, financially smart, and stress-free for you. From home prep-up to complimentary staging, expert counsel to an experienced and qualified team of professionals, let's chat houses. Visit www.tamara4homes, that's the number 4.com, or call 301-780-4663.
Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and ONeill. Ladies and gentlemen, we are up to our starting five. Every week we do this, 5 questions. Each coach gets 30 seconds each to answer these questions. They've never seen the questions before. You can defer once per round of 5 questions, Coach Turner. So you can't...
Thank you for defining that.
The clarification was necessary last week.
It was a problem last week.
Brought to you
It's
by
never a problem.
Steve's Deferrals.
It created great banter, and you guys loved it.
It was
Okay.
fabulous.
All right. Well, and Paula, what happens when Coach ONeill goes over his time? She's on it. She went to Ding Coach ONeill training. She went to that training.
That's
So
it. It only takes about 30 seconds.
all right. So we're gonna start with you, Coach ONeill.
That's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. All right, go ahead.
Pick. Don't start, y'all.
You're real witty.
We're not having a Baker Mayfield moment or Money Man.
We love it. Hey.
Lakers 17 world champs. I will tell you
I
that
saw no NBA on the script, and now somehow I found a way to
you
get it
brought
in
it
there.
up.
I know.
The dean of Minnesota basketball,
Awesome.
who wrote for a newspaper, died yesterday at 100 years old.
Oh,
He had written like
RIP.
1,000 editorial columns for the Minnesota newspaper. He is old enough that in 1947, he was the acting general manager for the Minneapolis Lakers.
Wow.
We can thank Sean Parker in Minneapolis for that nugget of information.
That's a good one.
All right, let's go. Coach ONeill, I'm picking you first. Pick the sitcom. Which character could you best play? Any sitcom.
Okay. My wife loves Friends.
All right,
Friends. And there's Joey,
right.
Chandler, and Ross.
Okay,
I think there's a way to be any of the 3.
Okay.
But I'll go in the middle with Chandler.
Chandler
Just
Bing.
being a goofball. Chandler it is.
All right, Coach Turner, pick the sitcom. Which character could you best play?
I don't know that I could best play him, but I'd love to play him.
Okay.
Fred Sanford.
Oh,
I love it.
I just showed the kids some Fred Sanford the other day. He was a good dude. He was a good dude. I'm coming back to you. You can lace them up one more time in a meaningful game. What song is going to be your pre-game get hype song?
Oh, this should be good.
Going Tribe Called Quest, baby.
All right, which one you going with?
Award tour.
I'm thinking time for some action. That would be a good one.
If I were to flip it,
Uh-huh.
is this part 2?
All right.
Going JC, PSA.
Oh
Nice.
my, oh my. Allow him to reintroduce himself. His name is Steve. All right, Coach ONeill, lacing it up one more time in a meaningful game. What song is going to be your pregame get hype song?
I got 2 in my head. One is AC/DC Thunderstruck, which just gets me fired up.
Right?
but I love Linkin Park. I think it's Burn It Down. Have you heard that song?
I can't say I have.
I'll go with the first. Everybody knows Thunderstruck
Everybody
by
knows
AC/DC. But look up Linkin Park, Burn It Down.
All right. We're going to come back to you, sir. What are you best at cooking? No puns intended here.
This should be quick. It's not much.
Besides boiling eggs.
I think omelets. Pretty good at omelets.
Really?
Yeah, I can make it.
All right, we want brunch at your house.
I could make a pretty good omelet.
All right. Coach Turner, what are you best at? I know you can burn it up on the grill. I know you can do that.
I don't like to brag, but
But now's the time.
you can give me any protein on the grill.
Anything on the grill, you can tear it up.
I can tear it up.
What about liver?
Liver will never touch my
Paula.
grill.
I mean, you said anything, and it is protein.
I could if someone
somehow
I
it
may
would
not
slip
eat it,
through.
but I can make it good for somebody else
All right.
who wants it. Now that
Now, who that person is, that's another question.
that's a whole nother
It
question.
won't be you.
But it won't be Steve Turner, and I won't test it. You're just gonna have to love it.
Coach, we're coming back to you, Coach Turner. Fashion trend in your younger years that you'd be embarrassed to wear now.
See, I never did it, so I can't say I would be embarrassed because I didn't wear them. But when everybody was into the cross colors, man,
I never did it either.
I did.
I wasn't into it.
All right.
You know,
So that's the fashion trend you would not do.
you know the whole miggity mac.
Right.
got your
Pants backwards.
Kurtis Cross?
overalls on backwards. I ain't doing that.
What about like a high top fade or anything like that?
I never wore high top fade. I was a low fade guy.
So we got nothing.
You know how I keep it. I just keep it.
I mean, you have
tight.
the
I
same
was low,
since
low tight
birth.
coast fade.
Yep, that's it. Coach ONeill. I'm sorry.
I'll say though, my mom, man, Clarinda, don't be upset with me.
Uh-oh.
And if anybody ever shows these pictures, I'll kill them.
Oh, boy.
She used to always get us to wear these sweaters together, and I was the older brother versus my brother and sister, and she got us in these pictures. I literally try to burn them every time those pictures pop. So anything matching, I wasn't down for that.
You're not down for it. Coach ONeill, give me a fashion trend in your younger years that you'd be embarrassed to wear now.
Well, I mean, as a buckaroo, those buttless chaps were tough.
Okay, so see,
no,
I'm usually ready for things. I was not ready for that.
Thank you for going first.
You're a point today.
This is going to be on a reel somewhere down the line.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe I'm not embarrassed to wear.
Erica,
Hey,
it's
hey.
okay.
Did you wear some click clacks and spurs too?
Yeah, man.
Why can't we have a drop of a country western
I got
song?
some stories there.
This one is
we have
worth
to-
it. He doesn't even
Yeah,
get dinged on
that
this
wasn't
one.
30
He can have a
seconds.
minute for this
No,
one.
you get dinged for speaking out loud.
Or we have to stop there and you have to keep that as your answer.
Wear it at the live show. Good thing we're just tabling up.
Can we get a Twitter handle, Buttless Chaps with Coach ONeill? We need that as a Twitter handle. Hashtag make it trend, guys. Make it trend.
Y'all gonna make me cry.
Oh, I had something else, but I'm going to leave it at that. 'cause
Start
I
at
just-
5, baby.
All right, that's a drop mic moment. That's a drop mic moment.
Let's go.
All right, Coach ONeill, I'm coming back to you. I'm afraid to, but I will. Would you- I was not ready. See what? You see what happens when we skip a Friday production meeting? We went Thursday last week. He has now officially had his Johnny Manziel moment. You have had your Johnny Manziel moment. Steve, you're on the clock next. You have to have a moment one of these days. Oh, my. Oh, boy.
Oh, that was so good.
Unscripted, unrehearsed. This is what happens when we have a Thursday production.
Oh, man.
When we have a Thursday production meeting instead of a Friday production meeting.
Man. All right, let's get through this.
They say you must laugh every day.
You must
I just
laugh.
got it in for a month.
No, you just laughed and cried in a day. If you laugh,
Man.
cry, and spend time in thought. That's Jimmy V, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we got to
good.
spend some time in thought. All right, Coach ONeill, I'm coming back to you. What would you choose, or would you
Scene. Here we go.
would you choose to be a hockey goalie or a baseball catcher? You got to take punishment either way.
I got to be the hockey goalie. Baseball, I think hockey goalie is I will say this. I think it's outside of NFL quarterback. That's the toughest position. I'm trying not to laugh right now. It's the toughest position in all of sports, but I'd love to try it. Baseball catcher, knees, man. My knees aren't that good.
You know why?
I couldn't be doing that.
You know why he wants to be a hockey goalie? They wear them big pads.
That's right.
And can't no one see that he got assless chaps behind him. That's why. Because no one can see that. He can cover all that up with the pads.
I'll be a hockey goalie. I can't sit. I can't do that baseball catcher stuff. Taking those.
You see, dude, yesterday he got punished. He got trucked. I saw in the Dodgers game.
For the Braves or for the Dodgers?
Yeah.
The Braves. One of the Braves got trucked yesterday.
Plus, it's 162 games. Hockey's at least 82.
And you don't have to play everyone in hockey.
No, but you don't have to. But still, it's 60-some.
If you're getting your butt whipped, it's an empty netter, right? They take you out.
And it's climate controlled as opposed to being out there.
It is climate controlled.
Hockey goalie.
All right, Coach Turner, you going to be a hockey goalie or a baseball catcher?
I'm going to go baseball catcher.
That's your sport.
It's the one that I gave up and I regret to this day. So the opportunity to go back and do it over again, and if that was the position I had to play to do it, I'll take playing catcher.
How about a lacrosse goalie? No chance. They don't wear any pads. They just have the chest protector.
I don't care, but I can still
protective midsection.
I'm physical
helmet.
enough that I can still lay some kids out coming across the field. I'm gonna play it a different way than the goalies play it now. I'm gonna reinvent the game. So I would definitely be.
There's going to be a Turner rule that you have to stay within 5 yards of the goal.
And at that age, I was fast,
right?
So you'd see some goalie going downhill trying to score a couple times.
Oh my gosh.
Chemo Christmas, man.
I'm gonna change the game.
I can feel this is going to be a different episode. We're coming up. We're going to have a caller in a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your starting five.
Oh, man.
The starting five. Since 1939, the Collins family has served families of Montgomery County and Greater Washington with dignified professional service in their time of need. We continue the same family tradition today at our funeral home located just off the Beltway in Silver Spring, Maryland. Our family of experienced funeral directors stand ready to assist you around the clock 365 days a year. Whether you wish to pre-plan or you have experienced a loss, please contact us to discuss how we can assist you at your time of need. Call 301-593-9500 or visit collinsfuneralhome.com.
Let's get social. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Connect with us socially on Instagram and Facebook at Turner ONeill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, on YouTube. Just search Turner and ONeill, then subscribe. And of course, you can visit our website at www.turnerandoneill.com.
Coach Casey here. Check out this week's episode drop and tell a friend to join the team at Take a TO with Turner and ONeill by following, subscribing, and liking the show.
This segment of Take a TO with Turner and ONeill is sponsored by
The party begins now.
Dynamic DJ Entertainment. Social gatherings look quite a bit different now. With limited guest counts and social distancing requirements, why not make your next event a virtual event? Contact the experts at Dynamic DJ Entertainment. From happy hour to DJ-hosted events, virtual trivia to nightclub nights, our DJ talent can host birthdays, corporate events, bar and bat mitzvahs, or any event. Don't cancel your event. Make it virtual. Dynamic DJ Entertainment is your virtual event solution. Visit www.mapdja.com or call 301-942-4500.
Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and ONeill. Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is a colleague of our coaches whose voice you may have heard on the First Amendment Sports Podcast, the WCAC Spectacular. Ken Meringolo is a walking resource when it comes to WCAC, DC area sports, and quite frankly, all sports in general. As a fellow broadcaster, his podcast covers all things sports, and we are happy to have him here today as he takes a TO with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Ken Meringolo. Ken, are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for taking the TO with us today, Ken. Welcome to the podcast. How you doing, fella?
Good. Well, I assume all those people were standing. That's crazy. A standing ovation for a podcast.
It was a standing ovation. Yes, you are correct. It was a standing ovation.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, we are excited to have you here today so we can chop it up with a fellow podcaster, local guy, and someone who knows the WCAC and local sports scene like no one else. Ken, I believe there are some gentlemen here in the studio who would like to greet you.
Ken, Steve Turner here.
Oh,
Good to have you on.
Steve,
How you been, brother?
good to see you, man.
You too.
Oh, fantastic. I miss seeing you. I miss seeing you. It's been too long. Can't wait to see you dancing on the sidelines soon, I hope.
I'm praying. Thanks you.
Ken, Casey over here. Good to talk to you. Appreciate you joining us. We are pumped for this. I've seen you a few times here and there in the last couple weeks, but thanks for coming on, my friend.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
Ken,
Looking forward to it.
let's jump into the conversation. You are a walking resource for everything DC sports, from the NFL to the WCAC. You cover it, of course. You're the CEO of First Amendment Sports, which includes a couple of podcasts, I believe. Tell us where this all started for you.
Sure. Ever since I got out of Bishop McNamara, a little plug there, past the 94, always been a writer. I consider myself a writer first and foremost. And so, going through college and, in the mid to late 90s, and not that long ago, and then, right on the cusp of this digital age, things transitioning from writing for newspapers and magazines to really covering things in a digital fashion. So, made that transition, again, because I love it. And, finding a way to have a voice, and most importantly, finding a way to empower other people, and making sure everyone's voice gets heard. And that's always been what we've been about. And really, that's where the name First Amendment comes from. First Amendment Sports. Our whole model is designed to put people in a position, to be heard, and to make a difference. So, that's been very, central to what we've been up to. And then, pushing it one step further, obviously I've covered the Redskins or the Washington football team now for over a decade for Vox Media, and for, over at Hogs Haven, and then working, here in DC and getting up close and personal with Tim Strachan and Kevin. We decided, hey, we are all from the WCAC. It still matters to so many of us. It's where our relationships are. It's where our kids are on the way to. It's where we're from. And so, kind of putting our love of sports and love of, this area together to really be a WCAC partner. And then, as we just had a contract extension where just began a 5-year, partnership with the league. It's a tough year to get things started, on our second go round with WCAC, but, I think that for us, it's an opportunity to kind of, set the plate for the years to come, and hopefully grow this partnership out. And you can't do it without guys like Coach Turner and Coach ONeill, of which there are so many, men and women, who are out there like these guys, all day, all night, for the kids. So it's just a great environment to be in, and a great conference to cover.
Well, we're going to get to one of your calls a little bit later, but Coach ONeill, what you got for Mr. Marangolo?
So, Ken, you just mentioned a few of the fellows you are working with a little bit. Now, you being a Bishop McNamara, the pride of McNamara, I've got Kevin Rick of St. John's, T. Strachan, DeMatha, Matt, the Real Deal Seal, all those guys. Just want to give a shout out, and of course Jeff Clay joins you from Gonzaga. But you get guys from all the different schools, and women as well. But what made that team? How did that start? How did you, Kevin, and T sort of come together?
It's almost like the origination of the universe. It was divine intervention. There's got to be something that happened that we weren't responsible for, that had to happen. I think the three of us, have known each other. Obviously, T and Kevin have been friends since they were kids. and their friendship, kind of sucked me in because, then we became neighbors, and kind of all have kids, in that same age range, and as we began hanging out just a little bit more, became obvious that we had a lot of shared passions. I was doing podcasts for the Red time. I was looking to do more than just football, and I had started doing some basketball stuff, and we said we want to do a podcast that has football at its heart, but it's really more generic in terms of, being about sports in general in the DC area. And so we started getting together once a week in 2015, actually, and we haven't missed a Tuesday since. And I tell you that, and it sounds crazy, but even when we miss a Tuesday, we made it up on a Wednesday, kind of a thing. I see almost nobody in my life more than T and Kevin in the last 5 years, and which is just a blessing and a half. Besides my wife and kids, of course. But the camaraderie that we've developed, here in the basement, as we say, and Steve, actually, Casey's been here too.
Yep.
What happens down here has, it's kind of like for us, it's a special spot because we've invested so much time and effort into knowing each other, building our relationship with each other, and then taking that, and really taking that courtside, taking that to the field and in the booth, where, as you guys know, honesty is the key to everything. And so when people hear us, they know they're hearing, honest takes, and really a genuine love for it all. And, that's, anyone can get together once or twice or a handful of times and talk sports. But, your question, I think the best answer is, we really grinded it out, and we continue to, in terms of hours and putting the work in, so that it sounds the way we want it to sound, when we get to the booth.
Ken, they got your background and why you do this and how long you've been doing this. I'm going to get into the meat of the sports. Talk to me right now. I've been in the basement with you, and I've heard you guys talk hoops. I've heard you talk football, and especially football. Right now, while we're in this season, what does our Washington football team need to do to get this thing turned back in the right direction? Luck. Make this short. I know that could go long.
We don't have all night, Coach Turner.
I understand that, but give me your three simple things that you think can help this team move in the right direction.
Number one, keep trying to win. There's no such thing as taken for players. There's no value in losing. There's no value in liking it, and there's no value in rooting for it. Keep trying to win. That would be number one, because every single win matters, especially when you have a roster full of players this young, and we got a lot of young players. I guess the next thing I would say is, for fans, for the people supporting the team and around this team, I do think Ron Rivera is the right guy. I think we need to, we signed up to him. That when Dan Snyder said, I'm going to go away from a GM-centric organization, I'm going to go towards a coach-centric organization, Ron Rivera was the only guy that fit that bill. And he should never have taken this job. Ever. Never should have taken this job. But he did. And I'm thankful for the fact that he did. I think he's the right man for it. So we got to continue to believe in him and put our trust in him, as the players, I believe, are. And then I think, the last thing that I would say is, along the same lines is, don't ever like losing. Don't ever, welcome it. I think we have to really try our hardest to find the positives, and they're there. They're absolutely there, and it sucks watching them lose every week. And and I watch every play, every second, and then I watch it again, and it's not fun sometimes to do that. But there's bright spots. We got a 7th round cornerback starting for us named Jimmy Moreland, and that's a win for any organization to have a starting cornerback, coming out of the 7th round. We have free agent pickups like, Kevin Pierre-Louis, playing linebacker at a high level. You can appreciate plays that he makes You can see flashes from the Antonio Gibsons. You don't ever, 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 ever sleep on how good Terry McLaurin is. Enjoy it. Relish in it. And so, football and sports in general, but football, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a passion, and it's supposed to be a positive, force in our lives. And we need to let it. We can't get wrapped up in records and where we are right now and what's going on in the owner's suite and all that crap. We have to find the positive, and we have to celebrate it, and we have to let ourselves do it.
I love it.
So that's where I'm at.
Nah, I love that, Ken.
Great answer.
Mr. Marangolo, I want to talk about that infamous Gonzaga Call, the WCAC championship football game. Where does that rank on your resume of in-game calls? And tell us what that moment was like for you. And I know you've answered this 100 times.
I love it. It was, we talk about what the greatest asset is to anything in that regard, and it's honesty. And when I go back and listen to that, so T. Strachan, drops, I believe it was a Lou Holtz line about, Jesus doesn't care what his father does or his mother does, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. And, it just prompted the God, theme in my brain. And, I blurted out that line. And that's what it was. It was a total, flirt. And it just, just like anything that's great in life, that's not forced and it's totally, generic or organic. It just happened at the right moment. Caleb's in the pocket. He steps up in the pocket and I get that line out. I didn't even know I had said that. To be quite honest with you, I didn't know I had said it. I was immediately wrapped up in the result, and the pandemonium that was happening all around, and the stands were collapsing, and people were going crazy, and Conrad Singh, got decked on the sidelines, like right on our, it was, everything was happening in front of us. They're like, oh my, you see that? You see that? You see that? And, and John Marshall, can't say enough things about John Marshall. And so I turned, I put the headphones down, and, kind of T and Kevin and I take a breath. And some guy came up behind me. I can't remember who it was. It was a bunch of guys climbing the fence, a bunch of Gonzaga grads and buddies of ours from up here in Kensington. And, one guy said, he's like, hey, someone's saying something about like this is God purple thing. Did you say that? And I was like, I don't even know. And then of course, Kevin Rick at the St. John's Cadet, he was like, oh my God, yes, you said it. As soon as you said it, I couldn't believe it. And, all these St. John's guys giving me a hard time, like immediately. But it was such a great game. First and foremost, the idea that kids at this level are winning games. Like nobody lost that game. Like every single person who got there made a play and contributed to the outcome in a positive way. And Logan Neely, the kick returner for DeMassa, you never seen a better play that people will forget. Right. Because of what Caleb and John Marshall did. So, it's special to me because, that was our first real day of action. At first time in sports, that was what we were doing, what we wanted to do. We had convinced the WCAC commissioner that we could be the broadcast partner for the league. And we had never done it before, so it was one of those things where we said, hey, we can do this. Got to give us a chance to do it. And so we put all our resources in on that day. There was, we were there in the morning for Riken. I believe they played O'Connell. I could be mistaken, but I think that's what happened. Right. And so, it was a long, long day. It got pretty cold, and we were right behind the end zone. We were just really happy to be involved in the day because we knew what we were seeing. But to be able to deliver when you tell somebody that you can do something and they take a chance on you and then you deliver, and not necessarily the line, but just the ability. All of us remember games that we played in as kids, that we played in high school. Big games, guys we played against, big plays, and they'll live forever in our hearts, in our minds, and in stories, in the basement. But, what a gift, we were able to provide so many kids, so many players and families that were there or watching, and they can just go to the tape, and they can watch it, and they can watch it as if they were watching, an old Redskins game or an old, Wizards or the National World Series. I mean, the manner, I wish games that we played in as kids could be preserved in that way. And so that, to me, then on top of that, you're able to get a line out that matters, and that's meaningful. And I guess I'll sum it all up by saying, when we say we love this conference and no one knows it like we know it, like I went to McNamara, and the fact that line just randomly occurred to me, that just tells you that, we're invested and we understand, who we are.
Yep.
And, that's the most important part of it.
Ken, one thing I do want to chime in on with that is that there's a kid whose name you said in that game who did not go on to play at another level, but he can go back to that tape and hear his name being said. And that's exactly what you're talking about, that you get to create those moments and those experiences for those kids. And I love the fact that you said that about McNamara. It's a WCAC thing. That line came out and you poured out that line in that moment. It was so exciting. And I know God was purple that day. He was purple that day. Yeah. Casey, what you got?
Ken, we all love this area. We all love high school sports. We love our schools. I mean, not necessarily just the WCAC, but we take a lot of pride in it. We take a lot, people take a lot of pride. IAC or the public schools. But if you can, in a couple sentences, this might put you on the spot, but what makes DC area sports so different, so special, in your opinion? And I'm talking high school sports.
Well, first, high school sports. So obviously there's the where'd you go to high school game that apparently we're the only ones that play. Because everyone who comes to DC, or who has a wife or a husband who's from somewhere else, and they invariably, get asked where they went to high school, and they name some place in like Utah or California, and they're like, okay, you're out of the game. So we care about it. I think this idea that DC is a transient town, Casey, that everyone says no one's from DC, and then for some reason they knock us as a sports town. First of all, is sports. One of our core prongs is the belief that we are a great sports town, and it comes out and shows in every color imaginable when we talk about our high schools. But this is where we're from. There's nothing more organic than our hometown sports scene, and then what do? We love our high school teams. We love our high school athletes that we follow through college into the pros, and they belong to us. We belong to them. And so I think it takes people by surprise because people don't think anyone's from DC. Meanwhile, it's just not true. We are from here. This is our home. We do love it, and we do think we're great.
Amen.
Ken, Steve here again. Let's talk about those moments that your hometown gives you. You can choose your sport. You can choose the athlete. Who is that athlete that has given you your most memorable sports moment from the DMV area? Okay.
Well, I'm going to obviously, we'll put that game aside, that the WCAC game aside, because it's up there for me. But I can't tell you, that I had a dry eye when Cal Ripken was making his lap around Camden Yards, when he broke the streak, or that, I wasn't emotional when the Washington Nationals, took Game 7 and brought home a World Series, to a town that everyone said was just a football town. I think the moments for me, maybe I'm getting a little old and sappy, but wins are great and championships are great and hardware is awesome and great, but it just happened last week. When Alex Smith went back on the field and played a game that by all rights he should never, ever, ever, ever want to play again, or should he ever play again? Man, I got a little emotional. Seeing him out there, playing football, for my team. That the measure of that kind of a man, making his way back after what he went through. Those kinds of stories. For me, my dad, he played football at Bishop McNamara. All my siblings went through and played sports at Bishop McNamara, and getting to put on the maroon and gold, and know that I was connected to my dad. That meant something to me. And so it's those those moments where you connect with teammates. I think as a fan, the ones I said, but I'm 44. Although I do still have some eligibility left, Coach. My playing days are probably behind me, but I still, I'm still that guy who looks in the mirror and thinks of himself as someone who could lace them up one more time. And I always think about, thinking about being on the field and remembering, the bonds that you have with teammates and then you understand, what it takes and what it means to put in, the time and the effort, not just to make yourself better, but to be part of something bigger than yourself. And that's DC, when you really look at it, and you come outside of the WCAC, like Casey was talking about, and you look at all of us, I feel like we are special in a way that, and of course I'm biased, but special in a way that a lot of places in this country just aren't. And the diversity, the push to celebrate women athletes in all sports, and it really like the emphasis that's placed on team. And I people can make it about themselves. It's real easy. It's real easy to do that. And time again, I get reminded when I look around, my hometown, and I see that that's not the case. And it's because of guys like you guys that are making sure that's not the case.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ken.
Ken, we do something here called a starting five. You open the door, so I'm going to include you on one question in the starting five that we had today. We've never done this before, but you said you believe you look in the mirror, you could lace it up one more time. So I'm going to ask you a question that I asked these coaches today. You get 30 seconds to answer. If you did lace them up one more time, what would be your theme music that would get you hyped before a game? Give me the song.
What would be my what?
What would be the song that gets you hyped before the game on your headphones?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I know I only got 30 seconds, and I'll make sure to stay within
and be
that.
careful, because they will ding you.
Where's the ding, Paula? Hit it. She'll ding you.
I'm a Tribe Called Quest.
Oh.
Go ahead. You can do it.
I got a quick bell there. I'm a Tribe Called Quest guy.
Tribe Called Quest. Okay.
When in sophomore year, I was introduced to not Midnight Marauders, but Low End Theory, and then Midnight Marauders. And I push play at the beginning at the time with a cassette tape, and make my way all the way to the other side and back. And I was ready to go.
Ken Meringolo, let me tell you something right now.
Oh, he knows.
You and I have both done that with the cassette tape. We're going to start with verses from the abstract. It's like Butter Baby. We're going to talk about Sky Pager. We could do all that. So we could do Tribe Called Quest. You are my man. Favorite guest ever right here. He said it.
Hey, Ken, and Ken, you've given me a little Tribe Called Quest every now and then when I've come to the basement. So I always appreciate you for that.
You know it.
Because they are the best rap group ever.
He said Tribe Called Quest. We could do that. All right, Ken. So look, tell me, what's next for Ken Meringolo and First Amendment Sports? You have the 5-year deal with the WCAC. I know that you're excited about that, but tell me what this is going to look like next year. Well, let's assume everything is normal for now. We know it's not. But what is this going to look like in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? How are you going to get to that 10-year extension? And what do you want to see for First Amendment Sports moving forward?
So we're going to get back on the field. We're going to get back in the gym, and we're going to start calling games again. I can't wait to do that with the two gentlemen on this show. And all around the league, we're going to celebrate women's athletics at the highest levels. And that's going to happen, I'm hoping, in the second half of this school year. But as we move forward, really the vision is is how do we make sure that the story of the WCAC gets told properly and by the kids, by the alumni, and by the people that love it. And so I've been working with the league to revamp the league digital platform to be more of a landing spot for people who can learn more about the league. Built a page for every school. Can't wait to be populating the Gonzaga page with the antics of Coach Turner's team and Coach ONeill's team. We are also going to be very involved and engaged in the way that the league is covered on a going forward basis. We're starting up groups in each school that we want to make sure we're working with, so that when we come to do a game, we can get kids involved. At least get them exposed to the production side, the social media side, the setup and technical side. Put mics in their hands and let them understand, that feeling of being live on the air. It's a special feeling, and a play or reacting to something that's happening on the floor. That's important. It's a high school conference. The kids have to be involved. When I talked to Steve Colantoni and we did our 5-year contract extension, he gave it to me, and I turned it right back around. I hand wrote a clause in the contract that obligates the First Amendment Sports and the WCAC to work together for kids. They have to be involved. So, you talk about the next 5 years, talk about the next 10 years. It only works if we are successful in helping kids in this conference get where they want to go. And, what better examples than, guys like Kevin Ricka and Tim Strachan to be able to say, yeah, you can be great on the field, when it's your time. But, you're going to be a man or a woman in a world where you're going to have to, do more than take a shot, or catch a pass. And what's that going to look like? And we can help those kids figure out if it's something that they want to do. So that's our goal. We obviously want to grow crews. Jeff Clay, by the way, is going to be in the booth with us. We've talked to him about it. We got to get his schedule down. He's the busiest man in DC, as you guys know. But he will be, to me, we consider ourselves a 4-man team, with Jeff Clay being very much that close to being part of our crew. So, and then from there, it's just basically continuing to build relationships. The whole idea of what we are about is it's relationship driven. You don't get anywhere in life by yourself. And so we will continue to forge ahead, building relationships with schools, administration, teachers, coaches, parents, whatever, however we can make a difference.
Ken, it's Casey again. I appreciate that answer, because at the end of absolutely. At the end of the day, what I always tell, our parents is that, why do I do this? And the answer is it's about the kids. And you just said that. It's about the young men and women, the future of our, communities and the world. But I want to say something here real quick, not really a question, but, being able to do this podcast with my colleagues, Steve and Kurtis and Paula and Chrissy, I have to say, man, you and your crew inspired me a lot, and inspire Steve for how you guys do it with honesty and integrity, and quite frankly, a lot of fun. So I just want to thank you for doing what you guys do, and sort of just being the person you are, man. I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the last couple of years, and just appreciate that. So keep doing your thing.
I appreciate that, Casey.
Ken, I imagine we will cross paths when things return to normal, and I'll see you and or your team, as we're both on the WCAC team. Please tell our listeners how they can find you, First Amendment Sports, and tune into what you guys are doing.
On every Tuesday night at about 7:30, we go live on the First Amendment Sports YouTube channel with the WCAC Spectacular. You can we follow that up with our platform anchor show called Thank God It's Tuesday. And as both Casey and Steve know, Tuesday is the best night of the week. It is the most fun. It is set, especially during the pandemic. I mean, we've reset the whole calendar around Tuesday.
There you go.
So two great shows. At It's Raining Ken on Twitter, at Plead the First CEO on Twitter, First Amendment Sports on Instagram, but most importantly, courtside, on the sidelines, talking to coaches, talking to parents alongside these games that I keep praying are going to happen sooner rather than later.
It is First Amendment Sports. You need to subscribe to it on YouTube. Catch their show. I caught some of their shows leading up to this broadcast. Thank you, Ken, ladies and gentlemen, from First Amendment Sports, Mr. Ken Meringolo.
Thanks, Ken.
Ken, thanks for coming on, man. We
Thanks, guys.
appreciate you.
You're the man.
Thanks, fella. All right, Ken Meringolo. He is one of our compadres in the podcast field, and excellent interview. Here's the thing about Ken. I know we've crossed paths. I'm sure we said what's up. We've been in the same space because we both do these games. Didn't really know him before today, and what I heard him mention women's sports more than once, and that's what I take away from that. I heard him mention that more than once, and of course, that baseline, that common denominator is these kids. He's doing it for the kids. You guys have a more intimate experience. You've probably been interviewed by him. You've been in his basement. You've been a part of what he does. Talk to me about what Ken did not tell us.
For me, it's just his passion for, and he talked to it a little bit in tonight. He has a passion for the DMV, all sports, but he really has a passion for the WCAC and the league that he was a part of because he went to McNamara and his crew. They're all WCAC members, but they really do what they do because it is about the kids. And I think that's, you said it, that's the common denominator. And it's brought a lot of us together for those reasons. And I just appreciate how he makes sure he gets these kids exposure. And even now, what they're talking about doing in the next 5 to 10 years with adding the kids to the broadcast and giving those kids an opportunity to see that there are other things they can do outside of sport. And hey, hats off to them and the First Amendment team.
Well, I think what came out there is what a good man he is. Just the way he answers questions, the way he represents not only First Amendment sports, but the WCAC, Bishop McNamara, his love for just all sports, his love for his local teams. Nothing makes me happier than true Washingtonian sports fans. Capitals, Washington football, Wizards, Nationals, and of course talking about Cal Ripken there. But Ken, he does it great. And again, it's not about me for him. It's about what can I do for the kids. Yep. Getting to know him over the years, being in that studio with those guys, they do a great interview. And like I said, I mean, that's one of the things we look at. It's not about just, our podcast, bringing other podcasts into this fold so that we can just spread some good love around the world about all the things we talk about. So, great guest. And I'm glad. I knew you'd love
Let's get some bonus coverage. What is your sports moment?
My favorite.
You asked him. I've got mine. I was surprised he didn't say the one I was thinking about, but he is younger.
I think we have the same one.
All right, well, let's find out. What you got?
I got to just pick one.
One, your sports moment. I got one that's in my head. The picture in the Washington Post, it's in my head.
It's the same one.
I will never forget it.
It's the same one.
Is that the same one for you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can start over here. I'm talking 4th down and 1.
Are you talking Rigo?
Rigo, baby.
I'm talking Rigo, 4th and 1 with that cornerback or that safety hanging off of him.
That was in my head, and that move as a child, I used to mimic Riggins going like this.
Yes,
running
and just
with the ball
and just pulling out of that tackle. Yes, it was
through.
4th and 1 on the 43 or 44 yard line, and Rigo took that thing in. Paula's been tired of hearing about that. She hears about that all the time.
I remember those as kids, but my moment
You're a little younger, yeah.
Was being I remember the 91 with Rippon and the game that they had in that Super Bowl when they beat the Buffalo Bills in Minnesota. And I remember that play in 83 and 87 was Doug Williams to see the first black quarterback win the Super Bowl.
5 touchdowns.
How cool was that?
5 touchdowns.
Who went off that game? It was Ricky Sanders.
Ricky
Sanders won.
Yeah.
But for me and my relationship with my kids, Cole grew up with nothing winning in this
No
area.
championships.
The Redskins were terrible. The Caps were always got there. But us being together to see the Caps win the Stanley Cup, winning the Stanley Cup is one of the hardest things. And we were together, and watching them close that out together was pretty special. That was a pretty cool moment, seeing Ovi lift that cup. And to see, he was probably 17 at the time, to see him just be that into it and see
to
that
finally get a championship on his watch, right?
DC. Yeah. But, I mean, the Terps winning in 2002 or 2001 was big for this area. Hoya's in there. I mean, there's a lot. There's more moments than people think.
Yeah,
there's a lot of moments in this area.
Maryland lacrosse winning a national championship. We can get
smaller. Catholic University winning a national championship.
Or even one of your own. I get more size from one of our own. I mean, the Chris Jenkins moment's got to be
that's huge.
Off the charts, too.
That was. We went crazy in my house during that one. And I can't imagine how proud you were of that. But Rigo does it for me. I was never an Orioles fan, but seeing Cal Ripken
that was cool.
Run around the bases.
Amazing, yeah.
Or run around the entire stadium. He took a lap around the warning track there. What else would there be? Doug Williams winning, 42-10. That was big for me.
They were down 10-0 in that game.
They were down 10-0.
They were down 10-0 to John Elway in his first kind of run at the Super Bowl.
Right, and that was like on their first drive, right? They scored 7 right off the break.
Boom,
I'm like,
yeah.
Ooh, this is going to be...
And then Doug came out of that game. He got his ankle. He got knocked back, and he was out. Jay Schrader came in for a couple snaps. And we're all thinking, because Doug... And that was the year of the Scabs, too.
Scabs, baby.
Scabs played half that season. Then Doug came. He said no. I remember that. He was like, no, told Gibbs, I'm going in. Because him and Schrader didn't like each other.
Here's a fun fact. Anytime it's 10:42, Kurtis Cross has to say, Redskins won the Super Bowl 42-10.
I do. Every time I see it.
Every single time. Since I've known him for 20-some years, every single time. 10:42.
Bring Chrissy back. Right. She's telling all my stories. But look, we didn't ask for the extra sound effects.
But recently in this area, the Mystics, the Caps, the Nationals was unbelievable. I've never experienced that kind of World Series.
This area, the Lakers. The United States area.
Right.
If that's what we're talking about.
We don't love it.
No, last week, classic. Chrissy, play the song.
We can't even play our Redskin song anymore. Do they even have it? We can't even do that.
I own it. I'll get it in here for you one day. Paula, please take us to break. Whew. Building your brand is an important part of your business growth. By partnering with Take a TO with Turner and ONeill, you'll gain the exposure and brand recognition behind our podcast. With thousands of listeners, subscribers, and website visitors, your company will benefit from our popularity online and during the podcast. Our partners also benefit from our exposure on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and Apple Podcasts. Inquire today and let's partner to build your brand.
Be sure to listen at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take a TO with Turner and ONeill.
If you have a question for the fellas, submit your question or show idea right on our website. Go to www.turnerandoneill.com and click Submit Your Idea.
Ray Cruz. Take advantage of historically low mortgage rates for your first, next, or refinance mortgage with Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Ray believes the home mortgages should be about relationships. With rates as low as 2.875%, you can now save on your monthly mortgage or choose to cut years off your mortgage, saving tens of thousands. To learn more about your options, call Ray Cruz at 301-761-2278 or apply online at raypcruz.com.
The 2-minute drill.
Ladies and gentlemen, back for another week to talk fantasy football in his 2-minute drill. Please welcome Joey T.
Ladies and gentlemen, how we doing today?
What's up, Joey? I want to talk fantasy football with you. This was an interesting week in the NFL. Joey, talk to me about 3 players who did well this week.
It was an interesting week, but something interesting enough. Julio Jones, my boy, came out swinging with 8 catches, 137 yards, but the kicker was 2 touchdowns. Julio Jones normally is not a big touchdown scorer, so 2 touchdowns in one game was huge. Kenyon Drake, we kind of been sour on him all season, but he finally broke out for a big game last week. Hopefully people plugged him in the lineup because of a bye. But 20 rushes for 164 yards, and again, 2 touchdowns, not too shabby. And then the king himself, Derrick Henry, as the season progresses, he gets stronger. 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 52 yards on 2 catches. Not too bad.
What about 3 players who underperformed, Joey?
Alexander Madison. He was the name of the week with Dalvin Cook going down. Everybody thought he was a surefire RB1. 26 yards rushing, 1 catch, 4 yards. Not going to cut it. Dalvin Cook needs to come back ASAP. Juju Smith-Schuster, 2 catches for 6 yards. I mean, a lot of people have him as their wide receiver 1. He's killing them. He has not performed since Antonio Brown left the Steelers, so he might be more of a complimentary wide receiver. Mark Andrews, tight end out of Baltimore, 2 catches, 21 yards. Now, he's supposed to be one of the big 3 tight ends who produces week in and week out. He has had some bust weeks, and this was one of them.
Joey, tell me what we're looking for. 3 players that you think are going to do well this weekend.
Well, more so some guys that you should probably grab and stash on your bench again. Trying to get ahead of the curve is huge before these players get too expensive. Jalen Reagor, a rookie wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, is coming off of injury anytime. Grab him now. If he is hanging around your waiver wire, he will be a starter immediately. Brian Edwards, in that same vein, rookie wide receiver from the Las Vegas Raiders. He is going to be on a bye week this week, but he'll be back next week. So you might as well grab him either this week or next week before he starts playing games and before his price potentially gets out of control. And another wide receiver, Brashad Perriman, he came back with from an injury this past week and had 4 catches for 62 yards, which actually is not a bad stat line for a receiver coming off of an injury. So I look for him to have some big games down the road.
Joey T, as always, we appreciate you and your fantasy 2-minute drill. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Joey T, Capitol Grill, downtown D.C. He is Joey T 5656 at Twitter. Joey, we're going to catch you next week, my man.
All right. Good luck this week.
Thanks, Joey.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Joey T. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and ONeill. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to remind you that we invite you to become a friend of the program. We do rely on contributions to bring this podcast to you each week. In the next several weeks, we're going to be leaning on you guys for contributions and advertisers. So make sure you tune in to Take a TO with Turner and ONeill each week. Check your emails, check our Facebook. We're going to want you to be a part of what we do. I believe we have I'm going to have Coach Turner jump in on this one. Coach, I believe we're going to do some merch things. We're going to have some T-shirts and things going on. We got hats. We got some things going on, right?
Definitely going to have some things going on. Be on the lookout. Instagram, Twitter,
Facebook,
our Facebook page, our website. We'll have some merch up for you pretty soon.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Gift store. You're in charge of the gift store?
I'm in charge of the gift store.
But I will adamantly shut this thing down if you make buttless chaps and sell them online with our logo on them. We are not doing that.
That could get us
the money we can make off of that.
That could get us.
I don't know.
Maybe not in the right, demographic, but that we were looking for. But yeah, Mike.
Oh,
I don't know.
Come with a complimentary holster of fries, maybe?
A complimentary holster.
Oh, the holster's going to be on them chaps,
She's
man.
good. If you guys rewind back an hour, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. But this is what I want. I was thinking about this. I did not put this in front of you guys, but this is what I'm going to want. We're going to start a campaign. You guys, if you're out there, I want you to take a video of yourself saying, I'm going to take a TO, or it's time to take a TO, and we want your videos because we're going to put together some marketing materials. And can we invite our fans, our listeners to get in on this?
Absolutely.
What do you say?
Absolutely.
We want to see everybody, all walks of life, old, young, middle-aged.
We want to see everybody.
Whatever it is. We want them all in there.
All right,
everybody.
So this is what we're going to do. You guys need to get with our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, or Turner ONeill podcast at gmail.com. We want you to send in your videos of you saying it's time to take a TO. Send it to us. We're doing some marketing. We're going to get it in, and we'll be right back after this break.
If you are looking to increase sales and gain exposure, partnership opportunities are available. Contact our producer, Kurtis Cross, today to get started. Email Turner ONeill podcast at gmail.com to get started.
Winsight Media, connecting the food and allied retail industries through research, media, and events. Visit www.winsightmedia.com for more info.
Redwood Investments. We are a private investment firm providing growth capital for acquisitions, roll-ups, and management-led buyouts. Visit redwoodinvestments.com or call 202-333-1395.
Recently, on Take It To with Turner and O'Neill.
Coach Casey O'Neill, you are first. Best meal you had this week?
Wow, best meal. I am a pasta guy.
But I think it comes from what I've been able to do with our program at Gonzaga. And, there's a lot of times that we're playing in these showcase events across the country, and the USA basketball people are there.
That year, that 2018 season was probably the sweetest since the first time we won it. And to be able to do that with him and to see those guys work hard. And again, we just mentioned it in the last segment, to deal with adversity, right? That's the number one thing we teach kids in sports, is to deal with adversity and how to react.
Then to see the last year with you and your son going through it together, and then your wife and your kids being, your daughters being able to enjoy that experience. Yeah. I don't think you can put a price tag on that.
Become a friend of the program. Friendship level contributions start at just $25. Each contribution helps to fuel Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. To find out more or make your contribution, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. All right, let's go to our weekly sports wrap-up. The World Series is set with Game 1 between the Rays and Dodgers tomorrow. What are we looking forward to in this October Classic, gentlemen?
Defense. Both teams have spectacular defense. I will say the Dodgers have more fire at the plate.
Okay.
But got to be a little careful. Cody Bellinger put a ball into maybe the third deck. But when he came back and gave that old bow, the old hip, did you see his shoulder popped out?
I did not.
His shoulder legitimately popped out, so they had to put it back in. He'll be fine, but I don't know. I'm rooting for the Rays. We talked about this. We got $1 on this, Kurtis.
We got $1 on it.
I think they are. I should probably be getting some points here in the spread, or I don't know what the line is.
I'm going with Magic Johnson's
but
Dodgers.
I want the Rays because they remind me of teams that don't spend billions and billions of dollars, correct. And they just play hard. They don't usually have fans down there. They just play hard, and they do it consistently. And I think their management puts together young talent. They build around defense. And they get guys that make 2-out hits, and they just play hard. So I think they're up against a big giant here in the Dodgers, but we'll see.
Coach Turner, what you got?
I'm going with the Dodgers, but it's family reason for that one. So my great-grandmother, God rest her soul, she is a New York native, and that was her team.
Brooklyn Dodgers.
And so growing up, spending a lot of time at my grandmother's with my grandmother, my great grandmother, I'd spend a lot of times watching those Dodgers games with her because she was a Dodgers fan, diehard. And I grew up with the O's, but the Dodgers were always my other team.
All right. Now I don't follow closely. Unfortunately, I am a Mets fan, but what's with the Dodgers and their ability to simply will themselves to win?
Because they've had some really tough setbacks with one of the most talented rosters in all of baseball. You think Yankees, Astros, Red Sox over the last few years. Now, let's not forget, I think it was 2017, the Astros, who were caught cheating, beat them in that World Series.
Right.
And then, quite frankly, the Nationals played out of their you-know-whats last year to pull that out and to win in Game 5 on a grand slam in the top of the 10th by my boy Howie Kendrick. They should have won that game too, but they bring Clayton Kershaw out of the bullpen. He gives up back-to-back home runs to Rendon and to my man Juan Soto. They are hungry. This is their time. That's why they're playing that never give up style right now. And they added, I think his name's Mookie Betts. Yeah, I wrote it down. He robbed 2 home runs back-to-back nights, Game 6 and Game 7. He's unbelievable.
The web jams.
I think I just talked myself in the Dodgers, but I'm going to stick with the Rays.
We're not taking it back now.
No, man. LA already got their Lakers championship. Well, I guess so did Tampa with their
with the Stanley Cup. Yeah, let's turn the corner here to the NFL. We're getting deeper into the weeks of the NFL, and we're beginning to see who's real, who's fake. The Bucks are clicking right now. The Steelers with Mike Tomlin. We didn't talk about the fact that the Steelers are 5-0. No one had them really on the radar. And Mike Tomlin, maybe he's just a really good coach. They remain undefeated. The Titans are 5-0. Don't look now, but the Seahawks yet again are doing what they do. They're undefeated. We're watching a Dallas team who's had 1 week to prepare with Andy Dalton under center tonight against the Cardinals. We're nearly 1/3 through the NFL season. What are we learning about this season's NFL, Coach Turner?
I think the teams that have been consistent over the years. That's why they're in the league. Their organizations are really good.
They're run well, yeah.
The coaching staff that they have are able to bring in new players and fill in for guys who've gone, and they remain at the top.
That's a good point. I love you mentioned Mike Tomlin. If the Steelers have Ben got hurt a year ago, and they're Tomlin,
right?
That guy's a good coach. There was a little bit of a whisper. Maybe he'll come to Washington. I would do anything to have that guy.
Who you telling?
Washington.
Who you telling?
Anything. Here's what we know about this year. Did a little research on this question. 10 teams have one win or less. And we're what, week 6? 10.
Right.
10 out of 30, what is it, 32?
32
or 30?
teams, yeah.
10. 9 of those have just one win. The Jets are the only winless team. That's bad.
Thank God it's not us.
Is it? But I will say this. I think the AFC is light years ahead in talent-wise. That championship series with the AFC is going to be so much better because your Bills and the Chiefs, the Titans are coming along.
The Raiders don't look half bad.
The Raiders don't look half bad. The Colts are half decent. I mean, there's just so many more teams. Patriots are kind of falling down a little bit at 2-3.
2-3, yeah.
Which is a little bit weird, but they'll come back.
The COVID, they had the setback.
That's right. That's right. But AFC is light years. I only think a few teams can kind of mess
Did you mention the Ravens?
Ravens, Steelers? No.
Right.
I mean, all those teams. I mean, it's AFC is much better. When we were growing up, I mean, it was NFC. NFC East was
just ran everything.
Right.
You have the 49ers, you have the Redskins,
Right.
The Cowboys are going to be at the Giants were always good. Philly's going to sneak something in there. Yeah, the NFC was strong.
But football this year, I don't know what it is, but I looked at that stat. I mean, seeing these teams, 1 win, 9 teams with 1 win. And a lot of injuries, too. I think about Dak. Think about the Titans starting left tackle, who's the best left tackle, one of the best tackles, just tore his AC. There's a lot of injuries.
How much of a beast is Derrick Henry? He's ridiculous.
He's a bull.
He is ridiculous.
He's awesome.
He's a big boy, too.
Ryan Tannehill's not bad either there with the Titans. So
they're doing some things over there. They're 5-0.
5-0, baby. 5-0.
All right, turning to the last corner. We're rounding third now. Alabama and Georgia had a good one that did not lack offense this past Saturday. Clemson dropped 73 on Georgia Tech, and the Big Ten returns this weekend. What are you two expecting from Big Ten football with this extended layoff they had? And Big Ten teams are looking to, they're looking to make the BCS. They're trying to do some things on a shorter schedule.
There was a lot of talks, I guess, this weekend listening to college, the College Football Live, and what happens with them if they don't get enough games in.
Right.
How do they?
Because of COVID.
Big Ten only 6 games or something.
Right.
To this point,
how do
maybe
they?
less.
How do they get
eligible
called to be a part of the bowl series if they don't have enough games in?
Right.
I mean, and arguably could be the league that it could get 2 teams in.
Right.
So what happens if they get none?
Right. What happens?
The Big Ten.
Yeah.
What happens if there's a
what
team?
What happens if they
No
have
Ohio
enough
State
setbacks?
Well, it's only
that
really
these
one.
teams that
Michigan's not there yet. It's usually just Ohio State, maybe Penn State.
But they said based on the numbers, they could be the league to get 2 if they got all the way through with no COVID.
No chance. Well,
I don't think there's a chance that it'll happen that way.
It's going to be Clemson.
But let's just say
SEC.
Let's say man above says, "I'm going to make sure this happens," and they don't get through.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? It's going, let's go BYU.
Right? Yeah.
I'm serious.
The Cougars.
I'm wondering what's to say.
Look at
Hawaii.
I know we're skipping the Big Ten right now, but look at BYU. If you go and look back at the schedule that they had set and the way that they're playing right now, they really would have had a shot at this thing. And now,
yeah, but
if the Big Ten comes back and can get their games played, they're kicked out.
It's all about money. They're going to find the teams and the conferences with money.
Man.
Here's my thing with college football. Nobody plays defense.
No.
Nobody plays defense. I know they're trying to, but it's...
I go back to the way that their preseasons were. No tackling,
Right.
Tackle
Everybody knows how to score the ball.
Tackle the air.
Right.
And you got to remember, in college football, a lot of times on defense, you got a lot of young superstars who came from high school playing immediately. Mm-hmm. Now they're playing in a big boys game, the next level up, and you haven't given them opportunity to teach technique and things that they need to do to be successful at that level.
And the reps.
You'll start seeing a lot of points being scored.
And everybody has 4.4 speed. when you're trying to cover them in the secondary. Not just a couple guys in your county or in your district, but everyone out there is a scholarship athlete with 4.4 speed who's going to lick their chops when they see you coming.
I think Alabama, too, this weekend showed Saban's,
Big brother.
Saban's system. No, that, but Saban's system. He's dealing with COVID, couldn't be in practices. He's doing everything virtually with the team.
Well, he was on the sideline.
Well, I know he got to the game.
He's talking about up until game day.
Until game day, you weren't sure. And all of a sudden, everyone's talking about what Georgia's going to do to them because of their defense. And he was like, nah, son. None of my assistant coaches beat me.
Right? Because that's,
Isn't it amazing? And especially with Ole Miss, too, because Lane Kiffin was there a couple weeks ago. They gave him a little bit more of a run, but it's amazing to see, like you said, that consistency in those programs. See what Clemson, Alabama does every year. I mean, look at LSU this year. National champs, one of the greatest college seasons last year. They're not even in the top 25 right now.
Right.
So, just look, my point is, when you brought up this topic was defense. I don't see much defense.
And UNC was ranked in Florida State, who hadn't won a game yet, right?
My Seminoles needed one, so leave them alone.
Well, my Gators took a loss, so I didn't know you were Seminoles. So Thanksgiving week, we got to bet.
Gators are still going to be.
So Thanksgiving week, we got to bet because we
are
always
they still
play
playing
you guys.
that game though?
I
don't think they are. I don't think they're cross-conferencing because.
Oh, that's right.
I don't think they're doing it because put it this way: Clemson and South Carolina always play. They're not playing.
But
that is on my bucket
Florida,
list.
though, so
It's Florida. It is
Florida not doing anything down there.
it's anybody's guess.
Paula, let's go.
That's on my bucket list to get to a Florida State game in the swamp. That is our weekly sports wrap up. Paula, let's take it to break. ONeill Development is a construction, remodeling, and development firm that has been active in Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and the Eastern Shore since 1975. ONeill Development specializes in custom residential work, providing extensive pre-construction and construction services. Find us at www.oneilldev.com or call 301-840-9310.
Be sure to listen at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take It To You with Turner and ONeill.
Coach Turner here. Check out this week's episode drop and tell a friend to join the team at Take It To You with Turner and ONeill by following, subscribing, and liking the show.
Insurance Alliance Group manages the gap between damage appraisal estimates from your insurance company and what you are rightfully owed based on your policy. They work on behalf of policyholders with claim assistance and disputes to maximize claims. Insurance Alliance Group serves as professional advisors and trusted advocates. The Insurance Alliance Group handles business and home property loss. Visit us at insurancealliancegroup.com or call 866-574-4773. Now, back to Take It To You with Turner and ONeill. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to become a friend of the program. We rely on contributions to bring this podcast to you each week. Contribution amounts start at $25. You don't have to start there. You can start higher if you want. And of course, your contribution will get your name listed on our website and mentioned each podcast as a friend of the program. We also offer advertising opportunities for businesses looking to gain exposure. Each week, our podcast is listened to and viewed by thousands. Last week, I think we were 3,900 and some change. We're so proud of what we've done, and we thank our listeners. By becoming a donor, sponsor, or partner, we will connect you with that audience and some exposure with Take It To You with Turner and ONeill. That includes advertising across 15 podcast platforms, YouTube, and on our website. Visit our website to view our 2021 sales kit, www.turnerandoneil.com, and then click partnerships. We need you to get with us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner ONeill Podcast, Twitter at Turn On Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Take It To You with Turner and ONeill. And when we drop an episode, guess what happens? Your phone will go off, your device will go off, and you'll know that we've just uploaded a new episode. Follow, like, add, spread the word. We are on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and on 15 podcast platforms. Don't forget, we want you to send in a video that says, I'm going to take a TO and email it to us. We want to get you into our next marketing campaign. If you have questions or show submissions, send it to us at turneroneillpodcast@gmail.com. Before we sign off, we must thank our engineer, Paula. Paula, how was your first podcast with the crew? What do you think, Paula? Talk to me.
It was amazing. It was a lot of fun, and I wouldn't mind doing it again.
Oh, thank you, Paula. We got to give some love to Paula for manning or womaning the board on her first engineered episode. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, guys. This was a lot of fun.
I must thank
Great
you
job.
two gentlemen, Coach Turner and Coach ONeill. Thanks to our donors, sponsors, and partners. We encourage our audience to support those who support us. Gentlemen, any final thoughts?
Great episode tonight. Had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
Definitely.
One thing that stood out, episode 16, that crept up quick. By the way.
Right?
I looked at that.
That's 4
number
months.
at the beginning.
That's 4 months.
I know.
Of episodes.
It's been an honor to be working with you gentlemen and the ladies here, and especially Paul. Thank you for being here. But great episode. Ken was great to listen to, and I'm fired up. Let's just keep rolling, baby.
Coach Turner.
Monday nights is what I look forward to. So I appreciate you guys here. Chrissy up in Buffalo.
That's right.
Yeah, she is.
And let's keep this thing going. Let's keep riding this wave. Our fans and our supporters out there, keep on supporting. We appreciate all that you do for us. We're going to keep bringing you great guests, great content.
We've got some things coming up I'm looking forward to.
And just take a TO.
Thank you for mentioning Chrissy. Chrissy, a shout out from all of us here in our Silver Spring / Kensington studio. Your chair will be kept for you. We can't wait for you to get back. And now, as we do each week, we have a weekly quote. The quote is mine, and we will go as follows. The greatest sin a coach can commit is to allow kids to slide by. This goes for the classroom as well as on the court. Mr. Hubie Brown. Paula! Pull the plug.
Take a TO with Turner and ONeill would like to thank our partners, sponsors, and donors. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group LLC. Our sponsors, ONeill Development LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, Peace Players International, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, and Collins Funeral Home. Our donors, Redwood Investments, Justin ONeill, donor, and Winsight Media. Take a TO with Turner and ONeill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Chrissy. All material is the exclusive property of the podcast and may not be copied, rebroadcast, or used in any way without written consent of the podcast. The views, ideas, and commentary of podcast guests are solely their own and not necessarily endorsed by the podcast. You may submit questions, podcast ideas, and commentary to turneroneillpodcast@gmail.com. No compensation is offered for submitted material. Should we choose to use your idea, comment, or question, you agree to your likeness, social media identity, and or information being used on the podcast. Take a TO with Turner and ONeill is recorded weekly and distributed via Google Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, and other popular podcast platforms. Some portions of the podcast may be pre-recorded. Be sure to search and subscribe. Join us socially on Facebook and Instagram at Turner ONeill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and ONeill and subscribe. Our website is www.turnerandoneil.com. Partnership opportunities are available.